Go.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are thrilled to kick off our webinar series on media literacy. My name is Shalal Mehmedli. I'm from Azerbaijan. I'm an English teacher at a secondary school and a visiting lecturer at Baku State University, Faculty of Journalism. I'm one of founding members of STEP Azerbaijan, Society for Teaching Excellence and Progress. And Mr. Mudassar Majid is my co-host from Pakistan. He's a media in charge person and a visiting lecturer at Faisalabad University. Together, we'll be guiding you through today's session. Today's topic is Introduction to Media Literacy, where we'll explore how media shapes our perceptions and attitudes. We are honored to have Professor Dr. Muhammad Yousaf from University of Gujarat, Pakistan, an expert in media and communication studies with us today. First, Dr. Muhammad Yousaf will share insights for about 30 minutes, and then we'll move to a question and answer session. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat anytime. Good evening, Dr. Muhammad Yousaf.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for kindly accepting our invitation.
Shalala, good evening from Pakistan, and thank you so much for inviting me. It's really an honor to talk on a topic which is really very important. Media literacy is a very significant and very important topic because we currently live in the age of mediated realities, and how to navigate this media landscape is a very significant topic to talk about and to talk with the audience and also answer the questions of the audience. So thank you so much for inviting me to speak on this topic.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad. At this stage, I would like to invite you. The floor is yours. We'd like to hear more from you, please.
Absolutely, it's my honor.
Okay. So definitely. So as we are going to talk about media literacy and all that, so definitely we have planned certain questions on which Dr. Muhammad Yousaf Bashir will be giving the answers. Definitely, he is a very credible person regarding media literacy. So therefore, we have got him over here online, and in this way, a maximum message of media literacy would go around the world. So in this way, the very first question that I'm going to ask based on media literacy, that is, how has the concept of media literacy evolved over time, and what are the key milestones in its development? This is the first question that I just want to ask you, Dr. Muhammad Yousaf Bashir, sir. So what do you think about the concept of media literacy that has evolved over time, and what are the key milestones in its development? How would you explain this question?
Actually, when we talk about media literacy, it refers to the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and act all forms of communication. In other words, in briefly, I can say that interact with the media text. So when I say text, I mean all forms of media. It could be the text, it could be audio, it could be video, it could be even visual content as well. So we categorize all these kinds of content as text. So it is accessing the text, then analyzing that text, then evaluating that text, and then creating that text. So this sequence is very important. And the second part of your question is that what are the key milestones? I can divide media literacy key milestones into five broad categories. First one is the rise of printage, and that started in the 19th and 20th century, because that was the era when printing press started producing, publishing, and disseminating books, magazines, newspapers at a larger scale. And that was the time when how to read, initially, how to read and interpret those texts. That was the need of order. That was an important aspect. So this was the time with the emergence of printing press that the need for reading the text, written text, and then interpreting that text to make sense or understand those texts. That was the beginning of media literacy. Then after that era, then come the broadcast age, and that lasted from 1920 to 1960. Actually, 1920 is the beginning of one of the major medium, that is what we call radio. With the beginning of radio, actually, the audience ability to evaluate auditory content, or what we call audio content of the media messages, and analyze the propaganda from those audio messages. That was another the beginning of broadcast media. And then this in this second category, 1960 was the time when television growth started. And with the television, the focused from first, with the emergence of radio, the focus started from reading to listening, and then of course interpreting those messages. And then with the emergence of television, it was visual storytelling. So now here the ability how to tell the stories, how to read advertisements, how to read the news, how to read the movies, or how to interact with them, or how to interpret them. That was an important feature. And then come the information age. That is the third major milestone in the media literacy movement, and that lasted from 1970 to 1990. Media literacy began being emphasized during this time, because many people thought that the media, I mean, the consumers or the audience who use or consume the media messages, they are the passive listeners. And that was the time where media literacy campaigns, that how to interact with those messages, how to understand those messages, that started. And then 1970 saw a very renowned scholar, that was Marshall McLuhan. And Marshall McLuhan, who was a Canadian professor, and he popularized the idea of understanding the media as a medium, and how this medium actually he popularized, and his very famous book, Medium is the Message. So he actually emphasized that message is not as that important as the medium is important. And the message, I mean, the medium through which, I mean, the medium which is used to disseminate the message becomes more significant in case of television. That was the proposition of Marshall McLuhan. And then in the same period, Stuart Hall in Great Britain, he was working on how minorities are represented, how the minority culture is represented. And he gave three very important parameters to understand the media messages or interact with the media messages. He laid the foundation that when we try to understand the media messages or want to communicate the message to the audience, actually there could be the three kind of messages. When the audience interact with those messages, they could have the meaning. One is the preferred meaning, I mean the meaning which the content producer want to audience to understand. The second is the dominant meaning, which the audience understand that this is the dominant meaning. And the third one and the last one is negotiated meaning, that the audience negotiate with the media content and then generate their own meaning, what we called a negotiated meaning. So both Marshall McLuhan and Stuart Hall, they advanced media literacy movement and help us to understand messages about culture, about the representation, about the ethnic groups, and also the effects of medium as a whole on the society. Then come the fourth age, what we call the digital revolution, and that's from 1990 to 2000. And this is the time of the rise of internet and then social media platforms. 1990 is the rise of internet, and then 2000 is the rise of different social media platforms like Facebook and YouTube. And when with the rise of internet and with the rise of social media platforms, the importance of media literacy increased manifold, because with this with these platforms there was a flood of information, what we call information overload. And then come the last age, that is the age of misinformation and disinformation, or what we call the current age. This is the age of misinformation, disinformation, and information load. And I cite two examples, and then one by one we can talk about them. 2016 American elections are one of the best example that how fake news can affect the political process, the election electoral process, and elections around the world. We hear so many sounds similar to these, and the focus here was how to fact check and how to ensure that the information which is coming to us is a credible information or authentic information or valid information. So as a result of that, UNESCO started a media literacy program, what we call a global media literacy campaign. And the basic objective of that program, along with so many other programs which are being run now in all the media schools, and they are the part of the curriculum, is that how people can navigate this media landscape, the current media landscape, where which is the age of social media, which is the age of media content or information overload, all kind of information. So I think if we summarize these five big milestones in the human history of information, milestones of information, or what we call revolutions of information, then ability to read and interpret, then to listen and interpret, and then to watch, and how to tell the visual story, and then how to navigate in the current age with the misinformation, disinformation, fake news, and deep fake. I think that re-emphasizes that there is a need to equip the audience, there is a need to empower the audience to navigate this diverse media landscape.
That's impressive, Dr. Sir. It's really, it's a very, comprehensive discussion and comprehensive explanation that Dr. Muhammad Yousaf Bashir has given. So right now, you can ask the next question based on that, the way you have made about media literacy. So you may ask the rest of the other question that you want to ask. Please put forward the next question so that our audience, because here our audience also wants to join the session. So those people who wants to join the session, so they can just the link is over there, so you people can join and just come over there. You are also watching live, but at the same time a lot of people are watching live to us. So please, if you want to do join, please do join us, and definitely you will gain. You can also do participate in that discussion as well, so it will go great, I would say. So Madam Shalala, what the question next you want to ask based on material literacy? So what is, go ahead, go on, please. Move on.
Thank you, Mr. Medassar. Yes, I wanted to ask our esteemed guest, what role does critical thinking play in media literacy, and how can individuals develop these skills effectively?
And this is another very important aspect, because unless and until audience could have critical media literacy, or what we call media literacy, or sometimes nowadays we call digital literacy, and sometimes we call it a digital competence. I mean, we can name it, I mean, in any category. We could call it a media literacy, we could call it a digital literacy because of the current digital landscapes, and we also sometimes call it a digital competence. But anyhow, whatever label we give to this concept, the most important thing is that we need to empower people and develop their critical thinking, and that is so important, because when people have a critical thinking, they could look into deeper into the messages. And in the beginning, I quoted four words, I mean, about the media literacy. I talked about access the media, that what kind of media they need to access, what kind of, I mean, platforms are credible, what are not credible, which are providing them good information, or what are not providing them good information. So they cannot do it unless they have a critical media literacy or critical media skills. And then second is analyze, because once they get exposure to the media content, then second advantage what digital literacy provides them, or critical thinking provides them, is how to analyze those messages. What how to what term I prefer to use is how to decode or deconstruct those messages, and generate meaning out of them, because media literacy movement, primarily speaking, is concerned with the meaning making perspective. That is a meaning making perspective, that how we make or create our meaning when we interact with the media messages. And then the third one is, after analyzing, how we evaluate what messages are positive, what messages are negative, what kind of messages fall in between these two perspectives, and then create our own understanding. So these, if we talk about these four aspects of media literacy, unless and until there is a critical ability, and the critical ability comes while empowering the people, telling them, teaching them, including the courses about media literacy into the curriculum of the different schools and departments and centers of media, journalism, and communication, because that is a very important aspect. But another aspect for the developing countries is, and that is very important when we talk about the global south or the developing countries, because many countries, including Pakistan, they face the challenge of literacy. So what to talk about media literacy when there is a challenge of literacy? So at first stage, we need to provide people literacy. Then we need to develop their critical skills and provide them media literacy, because media literacy is not a one concept. It is a tool, and it is a tool by using the audience or the consumers or those who want to decode the media messages or understand the media messages. They could deconstruct media messages, they can decode media messages, they can break media messages into the simple and smaller concepts and components, and then they could create their own meaning, they can generate their own meaning, so that they could have a better understanding with the media messages and the packaged ideologies, the packaged biases, the packaged stereotypes, and all those kind of concepts with the media messages. Because I usually say that there is no message which is an innocent message. All messages has meanings, and the meanings could be in terms of ideology, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of gender, in terms of representation, in terms of stereotypes. So keeping all these factors in view, it is so important to develop critical skills. And critical skills will be developed, of course, by reading, asking people to read the text and reflect on those texts. And with the passage, this critical ability develops and empowers the people to better interact with the media messages and create their own meaning, which are based on facts. And which are factual, which are valid, and which are credible, because currently we live in the major age of misinformation and disinformation. So, there used to be times when we say we don't have information, but now we are living on the super highway of information, and the biggest challenge of this age is not the information or lack of information, actually is to differentiate between the correct, factual, actual, credible, and valid information. And I think that is the biggest challenge which we all are facing, students are facing, practitioners are facing, and instructors are facing. I think all humanity is facing that, how we can cope with. And I cite United Nations one quote during the pandemic, which they coined, that the pandemic of COVID is not as dangerous as the pandemic of infodemic is, because we are under the attack of a pandemic of infodemics. So the infodemics, I mean the misinformation, infodemics are misinformation, disinformation, conspiracy beliefs, and defects, and all these kind. I mean, together they are called infodemics. So this pandemic is a biggest challenge for the humanity, and across the globe. It's not the issue of one country, though the developing countries have a biggest challenge, because they first need to work on literacy, and then they could talk about the media literacy, and through that they could develop the critical literacy or critical skills. Through this tool, the people could, or consumer could, decode the media messages.
That's a very comprehensive. That's superb, because I guess that is the more than the answer that Dr. Muhammad Yousaf she has given. I think very detailed answer and very appropriate one. And I guess that those people who are right now watching this video, this webinar, definitely they will be gaining a lot of information within the discussion that is going on, and that's a very valid and that's a very powerful discussion that is going on, because you can't, even if though find some, you have to struggle out to find out the exact answers, that most probably when we find out our answers of different questions. So if you people do join, then definitely you will be able to find out the different answers of your whatever the queries that you have in your mind. So, Dr. Muhammad Yousaf Bashir, I would like to ask another thing, that right now media plays a very vital role in reshaping people's perceptions, people's mindsets. So, could you please provide some of the examples of how media reshape public opinions and perception? Who how does media play with the mind of the people and society, so that it is a era of media, and definitely media is for whatever the things which are being played over there. So whatever that is being displayed over there on television or on media, whether it is the social media or whether it is the newspapers, so media plays a very vital role in reshaping public opinions and perceptions. So could you please provide some of the examples of how media reshape public opinions and perception?
I think Mudassar is not audible. Maybe he lost the
Yes,
connection.
I think yes, he has some connection issues.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
yes,
big challenge. I
as I
think he will come
understood,
back. So
yes,
I understood the question. I
yes,
understood the question. Let me reflect on it. Actually, you were saying that how media affects the perceptions and public opinion of the people. So this question has two kinds of answers. So there are two sides of the same coin. So I would like to reflect on both positive and negative effects, because media, of course, plays both kind of roles. I mean, we can categorize a role as a negative and as a positive. I would like to start from a positive because I like positivity. So first positive role which media plays is, let me give you the example of Me Too movement, because those who were the survival of the sexual assaults and all those who joined Me Too movement, that was one of the very significant role of media in raising the voices and empowering the voices of women who were the victim of sexual assault by the different people who were in power or who were at the positions where they can influence. I think that was one of the biggest movement, and I mean, one after another, and slowly and gradually, we saw that many voices joined together and then become slowly and gradually to become the big and very strong movement, which exposed many people and created more space for women at workplace and even in the cultural industry, because that was the biggest challenge of the cultural industry, and it started from the cultural industry. That is one of the most important role of positive role of media. Second is promoting public health campaigns, and I think no more, I mean, good and appropriate example can be than the COVID-19, because the media, the kind of role media, I mean, all kind of media, newspapers, magazines, television, radio, social media, played a very commendable role to create awareness among public or among the common people regarding the COVID-19, its symptoms, its how it spreads, how it can be cured, how people can save their lives. And as a result of this positive role, millions of lives across the globe were saved. That was another positive role of media. Then we talk about environmental advocacy. Media creates media act as an advocator, and media advocacy campaigns and reporting of the media. I give you the example, like a documentary, Inconvenient Truth, that tells us about how the environment is being deteriorated, how we can improve our environment, how we can protect it, and what kind of steps or environment or climate friendly steps we can take so that we can protect our this the climate and the environment of this globe, because we prosper together on this planet, and we improve and we decline together. Our future is joined, because our future is connected with one another. All countries, if there is a problem in one country, there will be the problems in other countries, and then the pandemic COVID-19 was another example of this. So the prosperity of this globe, the the development of this globe and the adversity in the on this globe, they all are linked to one another. That is another example. Then, of course, is the representation role of media. Media, if works on diversity and inclusive inclusion of all the groups and the segments in the society, because we often observe that media pays more attention or more coverage to the dominant cultures and the dominant ideologies and the dominant school of thoughts or the perspectives in the society, and those who are not in a dominant position, they become the prey of fear of rejection, and ultimately they go into the spiral of silence. They stop talking about the issues. So the one of the best role of the media and the good role of the media in society is to ensure that media reports all the segments of the societies, all the spectrums of the society, all the diversified segments in any given society, so that they can get equal representation, and even if not equal representation, they could get fair representation and a good representation. I mean, these are some of the positive roles which media play in shaping uh, attitudes and behaviors. Then let me come to the negative sides. I mean, one of them is the misinformation, because one of the challenge we face in the current age is the flood of misinformation and disinformation, and these kind of floods of misinformation, disinformation, fake news, conspiracy beliefs, they speed the process of polarization, because the societal polarization, and the more is the societal polarization, more are the divisions in the societies, and more are the divisions among the different segments in the society, any given society. Then the functioning of those societies become difficult, because then agendas or what are the important issues facing any given society, they become more polarized, and there is less consensus what are the important issues in any given society. Then the governments can't take decision that which are the important issues where they need to have a policy focus. So for that, misinformation and disinformation need to be addressed, and we need to work on that. And I think all countries across the globe, they are worried about misinformation and disinformation and conspiracy beliefs, because during COVID-19, there it was one of the evident fact that if we want to have a more harmonious society, a peaceful society, and consensus-based society, more harmony among the individuals or different segments and communities in a given society, we need to have information which is valid, which is truth-based, which is factual, which is credible, and which is reliable as well. Then comes the stereotyping, because when media reports, actually media creates stereotypes about the gender, stereotype about the cultures, stereotypes about the ethnic minorities, and stereotypes even about different classes among the society, or among the segments of the society, or even among the countries as well. We treat some countries favorably, we treat some countries negatively. So this role of stereotyping, either it's a gender stereotype, either it's a nationality based stereotyping, either it's a ethnic stereotyping, either it's a cultural stereotyping, we need to work on it, and we need to think about it, that how we can make media more inclusive, and how if we look at the movies, most of the times most of the black are criminal. I mean, they are shown criminal in the movies, though all blacks are not criminal. I know many friends, and I have many friends from Africa, very decent guys, but this is how Hollywood is stereotyped. And if we look at the other kind of movies from the other countries, we could have the same kind of villains. Some countries are shown as villains, some roles are shown as villains. And if we look at the dramas and soap operas across the globe, the elderly people are shown as a liability, and women are shown as secretaries, and the males are shown as the bosses. It could be the vice versa as well. So we need to work on the inclusive approach to ensure that all the segments in a society gets equal representation. And then another very important aspect is the body image. I mean, especially many movies, and soap operas and dramas and documentaries and even social media. They show and they prefer idealized kind of body images, and from those kind of representations, people get dissatisfied with their shapes, with their bodies, with their intellect, with their clothes, with their language, with their culture, and the list goes on. So I think there is need to have a, we often say that whoever you are, whatever you are, either you are a small, you are big, you are black, you are white, whatever you are, you are unique. So we need to respect humans as humans, not black. Because even if we talk about the concept of beauty or the concept of ideal body shape, this concept is very much relative, and it's a very much it's a different in different countries. If the concept of beauty is is a one concept of beauty in the Central Asia, it could be the different in Europe, it could be different in America, it could be different in Africa, it could be different in our part of the world. Because if the people are healthy in our part of the world, we think they are beautiful. But if the people are healthy in China, in Korea, they think they are not the handsome or the beautiful people. So this concept is different. So we need to understand this, that there is no one ideal body shape, there is no one ideal complexion, there is no one ideal color. All the colors, all the body shapes, all the people, all the ethnicities are beautiful. And that's why this world is beautiful, because we meet different people with different cultures, with the different height, with the different ethnicities, with the different languages. I think that's why this word looks so beautiful, because it is a diverse word. There is a diversity. And then the last and the most important point is polarization of public opinion. Because the media platforms like Fox News and then MSNBC, I mean, I'm talking about USA, even in the advanced countries, the content is very much partisan. And, when the media is divided on the political lines, and we find the division, we find those divisions in the society as well. And if we talk about the Pakistan, we have ARY news and then Geo news. They are poles apart, and these are the two perspectives. I mean, some channels, I mean, because these are two big agenda setters in Pakistan regarding the news and defining what are the important issues confronting the Pakistani society. And then the other TV channels follow these two. Some goes on that side, left side, some goes on the right side. And through that, we see a lot of polarization in the society, polarization of the public opinion. So when the content is polarized, that at the end of the day corresponds polarization in the society. So we need to have a kind of content which is more inclusive, which is more we cannot say that neutral, but we can't say it should be objective, because neutrality and objectivities are not that important concept in journalism nowadays. But I think the fairness is very, very important. There should be some sort of fairness, there should be some sort of justification that what we are reporting, on what that is based, what are the parameters, what are news values on which we take those decisions. That if we are showing or broadcasting one news at the first slot, what are the logic, what are the parameters, what are the news values which help us to determine that this should be broadcasted first and then follow the next. So I think because of partisan content regarding the politics, regarding the culture, regarding the health of the economy, regarding the culture, regarding the important issues facing this globe and facing this, the different countries. There is a lot of polarization, and one of the example I could cite is the polarization about the climate change. There is a lot of scientific evidence which says that this globe is getting warmer and warmer, hotter and hotter. But there is a pseudo research which is funded by those who get benefit, that to create illusion or to distract people or public beliefs that this planet is not getting hotter and warmer because of the activities of the humans. Actually, it is getting. So these kind of things, and then these kind of stories and these kind of facts which are pseudo facts, not of course the scientific evidence, These kind of pseudo facts and pseudo scientific evidence is actually to discredit the scientific evidence. So this creates illusions, this distracts the public, and then it results in the polarization of the public opinion regarding the important issues, then how to understand those issues, and then what to do about those issues. I think there is a more need to work on media content. There's no need to work on the media outlets. There's more need to work on the social media platforms, that we need to have a kind of content which is not individualized. It should be, I mean, it should more focus on community rather than the individuals. I mean, either those are cultural aspects, either those are educational aspects, or either those are political aspects.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. That was a fascinating point about the uniqueness of each person. And here comes another question from our audience. TESOL supporters of Azerbaijan asked this question: how can we identify reliable sources of information online?
So this is important question, because this is the crux of today's talk, and I think there are some needs, there are something, because we are living. I mean, current is the age of echo chambers. So I mean, the similar-minded people are following the similar-mind people. So that is, how the social media apps work. That is how YouTube works. That is how Facebook works, because the like-minded people are grouped together, and that's how the echo chambers are created. And then slowly and gradually, those people start thinking what they are saying is actually the truth. Actually, that is not the truth, because all the other people who are like-minded and who understand that is the truth, they start supporting them. Then ultimately, at the end of the day, they conclude that that is the truth. So that, what is the treatment actually? What, how we can get out of it? One of the tool is fact check. We need to check that information from multiple sources, and that is one of the advantage, because if we get one news from one account or from one media channel, television channel, or from one newspaper, or from one radio station, or even from one account, individual account, or from one YouTube video, we need to have a multiple fact check. We need to check it across with the different media platforms. Through that, we could have a more empowerment. We could have more abilities, and what in the beginning we were calling critical abilities. We could have more empowerment to decode those media messages which are not factual, which are not actual, which are not credible. Actually, they are misinformation and disinformation. And you know what? There is a one difference between misinformation. Misinformation is a package of lies. Disinformation is also a package of lies. One difference is that one who is spreading misinformation doesn't know what he or she is doing, while disinformation is a purposeful act of spreading the packages of lies. So in both cases, we need to have fact check. Fact check is one of those things that help us, that how we can address all those things which are there, and how we can improve our media literacy skills to address the challenges, and to overcome these kind of things with empowerment, or with the narratives which are spreading, or which are very common in the society, or among the different segments of the society. So that is one of the issue. And then also we need to have I mean, the main focus is on the media literacy curriculum. Media literacy curriculum not only is the issue of the media graduates, or the media students, or the journalism schools. It is mandatory for every single individual who is living on this planet, because misinformation, disinformation is the issue of everyone. It is not, I mean, your issue or mine issue or Mudassir's issue. It's not Shalaila's issue. It's not Mudassir's issue. It's not Yousaf's issue. It is the issue of everybody, and everybody is suffering that. So we need to have more focus on developing the media literacy campaigns, media literacy curriculum, which can help individuals, which can empower communities, and those communities then could become the tool to decode the media messages. And the fundamental thing to do this is the education. We need to educate the people. We need to provide them critical education, quality education, because once we provide them quality education, then they could have the critical abilities. Once they could have the critical abilities, they could have the media literacy. Once they could have the media literacy, they could have a toolkit, a weapon which they can use to decode, deconstruct, and break the media messages into simpler components, and then create meaning out of that, because media literacy movement focuses on how to create meaning out of media texts. And if we use the media passively, we cannot create messages. And uneducated people or less critically enabled people cannot create meaning out of the text. Only those people can create meaning out of the media text who are intelligent, who are smart. And who will be intelligent and smart? Those who are highly educated, have critical abilities, and importantly, who has the habit of fact checking about the news or information they receive from different sources, so that they could know about the health of the information. That is very, very important. That how healthy, if we talk about the quality of food, then it's also the quality and health of information as well, because we are consuming the information like we consume the food. And I often tell my students that we are what we read, listen, and watch. That is how we are shaped. that
Exactly.
is that is how we are influenced. Whatever, it's just like, I mean, our health is what we eat. So what we read, what we listen, and what we watch, at the end of the day, informs us, uh, transforms us, shapes us, and makes us. I think that is very, very important, that we need to be very careful when we consume information. I mean, when we read something, when we listen something, or when we watch something, we need to be very, very critical about these selections, because these selection at the end of the day are going to define who we are at the end of the day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad. We have one more question from our audience. Gulnar asked, what are the key indicators of fake news or misinformation?
Yes, that's a very difficult question to answer, to be very honest, because this is not an easy question to answer. That What are the key indicators, or what are the key factors of misinformation? Because those who spread misinformation or disinformation, they present it as that it's a credible information. It is the actually not credible, it's the most credible information. So to answer this question is, I think, is a very, very difficult task. But I would like to reflect on it, that how we can find some of the indicators, or how we can know that the information which we are consuming is coming from a source which is not credible. One of the indicator is overly emotional language. I mean, those kind of information which are based on misinformation, disinformation, or fake news. Even the people who spread them, they are very emotional. They express those facts very emotionally, just trying to influence those who are consuming that information. So that is one of that headline, that something, don't miss it, you don't believe me, I'm going to talk about something which you don't know today. I mean, these kind of very dramatic and very emotional sentences or slogans. That is one of the reasons. Then second one is exaggerated claims. I mean, the claims which are made by those people who spread misinformation and disinformation, they are very much exaggerated. They are not factual. They are not based on any evidence. And because they are not factual, they are not based on any evidence. So those claims, I mean, we also saw these kind of claims during the COVID-19, that these kind of remedies cure COVID-19, and they stop the spread of COVID-19. So all those claims which are without citation, without any reference, they fall in the category of misinformation and disinformation. And then, of course, talking from the scientific point of view, I mean, if the thing which is presented is not peer reviewed, I mean, any story, any vlog, any YouTube video, because this kind of information is not peer reviewed. I mean, when we talk about peer review, we talk about the scientific evidence is evaluated by the peers in the field. That is how the scientific knowledge gets published and disseminated and shared. So that is one of the issues, that the information which is not peer reviewed, we need to be very careful before believing that information as a true or credible. And then comes the logical fallacies, that if you don't agree, you are the enemy, if you that's one of the issue, that if you don't agree what is being preached or what is being told or what is being disseminated, then you are treated as an enemy. So it's a, you are with us or you are against us. So with us or against us, that is a dichotomy. And then of course appeals to the authority. Some people just use authority as an appeal, but we need to remember that if someone is authority in one field, so authority in one field cannot be authority in another field. So if someone is authority in communication, he or she cannot be authority in business or economics or politics. So we need to know this, that the authority which is being cited as authority, either that is authority or not authority. And then of course one of another challenge is not that that information, if we think that information is credible, that should be verifiable. But most of the misinformation and disinformation is not verifiable. We can't verify that kind of information with when we look at the fact checks, or we cross check those facts, those information which are based on misinformation or disinformation, they are not verified. So that is one of the issue. And then we need to look at from which media it's coming. I mean, the information disseminating source. Now if source is credible, or the media group is credible, or media channel is credible, or platform is credible, then we can believe that that's credible. And I think the source can be one of the source to define that whether that information is misinformation and disinformation. And then a call to immediate actions, because those who spread misinformation and disinformation and false narratives, they want the public to buy that narrative immediately and act upon those narratives immediately. So they call for action very quickly, that if you miss, you will miss everything. Actually, you will miss the train. So that is one of the reasons that those who are spreading lies or misinformation or disinformation, they believe on the immediate action. And the last one, deepfakes or altered media, that the videos, the images, they are altered and they are shown as real. So there are now applications or Google to, I mean, by using those applications, we can verify the deepfakes, like the videos, like the audios, like even some specific agendas, specific narratives, or the manipulated represented stories. So I think now Google has introduced some kind of applications, and they're very common now. We often use them to identify that either the picture is original picture or not, either the audio is actual or not, or either the text is actual or not. So I think these are some of the means, but still I think it's very difficult question to answer, that how to differentiate between misinformation and disinformation, because we live in this age where lies are common, truth is hiding. So we need to find that grain of truth, which is truth and credible. And we can do that if we look at the multiple sources, citing sources, the source which is spreading that information, and also the credibility of the medium through which that information is being disseminated. These are some of the strategies which I personally feel could help us to not be the victims of misinformation, disinformation, fake news, and conspiracy beliefs.
That's, I guess that that is a very comprehensive in this regard, because I feel that even though AI cannot give that comprehensive information, and with the help of helpful examples that Dr. Muhammad Yousaf has given right now over here in the webinar, I guess that somebody can just find out something over there on Chat GPT and some different resources, but they cannot get some sort of exact examples that right now Dr. Muhammad Yousaf is coding over here in this webinar. So that's very interesting, and that's very informative as well. So in this way, as we're just talking about disinformation and misinformation, at the same time, just I just want to ask you that what can be the exact information along with the misinformation, disinformation, and what can be the exact information right now? If we play any national television, so whatever the state is representing, we feel that those people who have the access of those information, they would feel that that is exact information. Might be that the policy of that national television, that they have to display, or they have to break that news according to their own ways. But whether that is not exact, but still whatever that is being displayed on that national television, the people are enforced to follow. And some of the people, they feel it that is an exact. And how then we can feel that what is an exact and what is misinformation and what is disinformation in this regard?
So coming back on the same topic, it's I will start from this. This is very difficult because the narratives, the stories, the discourses which are presented. It is a very difficult to differentiate. I mean, what is a valid information, or what is a misinformation, or what is a disinformation. One of the thing I think is one need to be well read, because when we are well read, actually we develop intuitive ability, what we call intuition, that help us to not be the victims of misinformation or disinformation. So there is a no formula like 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. There is no way out. But we need to be well read. We need to read. We need to be well read about the information, knowledgeable about politics, about economy, about the culture, about the various movements. I think after looking at the multiple sources and multiple evidences and the multiple authorities, I think we could have a tentative guess that we can ourselves decide, or can reach at conclusion that what we are consuming is misinformation, disinformation, or valid information. But even then, it's very difficult, because misinformation for one person could be valid information for another person, and likewise the disinformation for one person could be the valid information or truthworthy information for another person. So still, this is it's a challenging task, Mr. Mudassar. It's a very challenging task. And I think what we need to do is to empower people with education, with media literacy, and with it, we need to provide them toolkit. When our vehicle gets out of order, we go to mechanic who fix that vehicle, and that person has a toolkit with with which the person fix our vehicle. So I think we need to provide consumers and general public with a toolkit, that how they could analyze media messages, how they could understand media messages, how they could decode media messages, how they could deconstruct, how they could construct and deconstruct media messages. This construction and deconstruction and reconstruction, that is a very fundamental thing to understand and to navigate this current media landscape. If we don't do this, I think there is no shortcut, there is no way, because this those who spread lies, they are they are much smarter. They code them, they present them in such a way that it becomes very difficult for a common person or for a common media user to differentiate between misinformation, disinformation, and valid information. Only one tool is that we need to educate people. We need to provide them education. We need to provide them critical education that will give them the quality education that would provide them critical abilities, and critical abilities will improve their media literacy, their digital competence, their digital literacies. Through that, we could have some sort of mechanism, or we can develop some defense against this attack or these attacks of misinformation and disinformation.
So this is, from my side, I have kind of, asked all the questions that are very much valid based on the topic that we are going to talk. We have discussed today about the media literacy and all that. So, Madam Shalala, if you have any question in your mind, or any of the audience, any of the person in your audience wants to ask any question, So he or she can ask right now in this session.
Yes, I also have one last question for our dear esteemed guest. In your experience, what has been the most significant societal impact of media's influence on attitudes and behaviors of the public, the audience?
So that's important question because media content of course shapes our attitudes and our beliefs, our perceptions, our understandings. Let me start from the beginning. In the beginning of the public opinion research, media was treated as a independent variable, and attitude and behavior change, or what we call voting behavior, that were considered as a dependent variable. So in other way I can say that media was considered to be the prime factor who changes attitudes and behaviors of the people. But I mean, research after research and evidence after evidence accumulated that this is not that linear process, and the media don't have those powerful effects which we assume. Then there was the revolution of cognitive psychology, and with the revolution of cognitive psychology, the focus of the media attention from attitudes and beliefs transferred more on the perception and awareness. What media then actually do is that the more people consume media, or the more people depend on the media, the more people learn from media. I mean, when they learn from media, the more aware are they about different things. So they have more awareness. The more awareness they have, the more attitude they have about the different things. So more attitude they have about the different things, the more perception they have about the different things. The more perception they develop about the different things, or attitude they develop, I called that attitude strength. The more attitude strength people have about issues, politicians, objects, whatever we may call it, then the more they think about it, that either they like that thing or they dislike thing. So I think the ways from media creates learning creates awareness creates perception develops our attitudes, and then our attitudes define our behaviors. So these behaviors are about the politics. If let me give you one example. If media is not that powerful, then why people use media during the political electoral process? Because that does affect the voting behavior of the public. Then if media is not that powerful, then why we use media as an advocate model in different advocacies, like environmental, like Me Too, like health campaigns, and even to develop the perception of public about the health of the economy. If media starts reporting that economy is improving, at the end of the day, with the passage of time, people start thinking that the economy is improving. So the media reporting, of course, affects our attitudes, our beliefs, even our behavior, and even our beliefs, because the kind of beliefs, the kind of perspective, the kind of narratives, the kind of discourses which are dominant in the media landscapes, with the passage of time they become dominant among the public mind, among the public as well. So I think either these are cultural attitudes or behaviors, either they are about the eating habits. Now we like KFCs and McDonald's. Our parents, especially my parents, they used to live in village, they don't like that, so they used to eat the traditional food. So I mean, either the choices or attitudes about, or behavior about the different food products, or even the cosmetics, the beauty products, or even about the cultures, or even about the nationalities. We haven't met. I often tell my students that you haven't met Barack Obama or Shah Rukh Khan or Katrina Kaif or Angelina Jolie, but still you have opinion about them, you have attitude about them. How it comes? Because they are introduced to public through the lens of the media. So what media tells us about them, we develop our attitudes and behaviors about them. We like some politicians because media tells us about how to think about them. We dislike some politicians because media tells us how to think about them. We like some cultures with some nations, some ethnicities, because media tell us to think in such a way, in that way, in this way. So I think that is how our perceptions, our attitudes, and our behaviors are shaped and reshaped, and of course transformed.
That's a very interesting. I genuinely got a lot of information within this discussion that is going on. Even though I could not, I completed my almost about to complete my MPhil, but but the exact information, even though I could not find anywhere because even though Madam Shilala, you have visited USA. I'm not just going to boost up or all the things. You have visited USA. You have studied over there and all that. You exact information that Dr. Muhammad Yousaf Bashir is giving. It's really superb. It's up to the mark. It's not exact and to the point information. I'm not just trying to because I have over with us. That's why I'm just trying to sharing information or whatever the information is sharing. I'm just trying to boost up. No. The thing is that that is a very pure information and exact information which are need to be addressed. He has addressed very, I would say, very comprehensively and very tremendously because the information, the things, the questions that we raised, it's really superb. It is not something like I'm just telling you again and again. It is not something like that. I'm just trying to. He belongs to Pakistan, and I'm just therefore I'm asking because I just keenly absorb the content of the things that he has shared in this discussion. It's really superb. So anything that you would like to ask Madam Shalala, so go ahead because right now we have ended up the session. It lasted 1 hour or something like that. So if you have any questions, and I really feel honored that Dr. Muhammad Yusuf has given us time today on this webinar.
Likewise, it was my pleasure. And if I made or my talk made some difference regarding the understanding about media literacy or digital literacy or critical abilities, it's really my honor. I feel glad and I feel pleased that I made some contribution to your understanding or the understanding of those who are watching us or listening us. So I think sharing is caring and caring is love. This is what I believe in. We need to share our insights, what we know with the community, with the people. Through that sharing, we can progress together, we can grow together, we can live together, we can prosper together.
Thank you so much,
Over
Dr.
to you, Shalala.
I would also like to thank you for sharing your valuable expertise with our audience. I really enjoyed today's insightful session. I'm grateful to you. And I'm also grateful to our people for being such an engaged audience. And I hope they'll join us for our next webinar in this series. So stay tuned for updates. Dear audience, please fill out the attendance link shared in the chat box. And have a great day, everyone. And see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so thank you very much, sir, Dr. Muhammad Yusuf Bashir, so for your
Welcome.
precious
It's my
time.
honor. Welcome. It's my honor. Really, I'm really honored to talk about
Okay,
this media
okay. Thank
literacy
you.
concept. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Blessing.